Yonatan Jacobovitz is the executive director of the Israeli Immigration Policy Center. He says the court ruling is preposterous.
Well, the court's decision is preposterous. The idea that the government has to take into account children who are together with their parents' position on migration is just very far-reaching and has no basis. What's the difference between this case and, let's say, parents that want to move to abroad for work? Do they have to? Will the government now have to interview the children to see if they're interested in moving? What about nefesh b'nefesh, or the Sachnut wants to help a family to make Aliyah to Israel? Can that child, when he becomes 18, sue the state for not making a public hearing to see if they were interested in making Aliyah? It just has no basis in Israeli law or common sense. Children move with their parents, and the only thing that can be checked in such a process should be if there's any kind of harm done to the child by the parent, or if there's any kind of mistreatment. But the idea that the child's benefit can be the state of Israel, and that should give status to their parents who are here illegal, is just has no basis in law. Another problem with this decision is that it really has no basis in law. It's based on just a letter sent by the Attorney General's office to a private person, and it was never publicized. So that's another issue we have with this case.
You say it's far-reaching. What impact do you think it will have? Is it not possible that every single deportation decision now will be overturned by the courts based on the fact that it's not in the child's welfare?
Well, except for the far-reaching and preposterous consequences that this could have to personal family issues, it will make it very, very difficult to implement Israel's immigration policy, which is that people who are here illegally need to leave, and that the fact that they have children in Israel is not a criteria for receiving a residency or citizenship, and this will just make it much, much more difficult to implement that policy, near impossible. And that's why we think that the implications can be dire. If we're looking at it from a policy point of view, we're not talking about just a few single children. There are over 10,000 children of illegal migrants in Israel, and any decision will have implications for all those, and not only those, but also future migrants that will hope and understand that if they have children in Israel, then they too will be able to receive status.
Does the fact that there is no functioning government at the moment mean that for the foreseeable future at least, it's the courts and not the government that's effectively setting Israel's deportation policy?
Well, regretfully, Israel's courts are so, I'd call them hyper-activist, that it doesn't really matter if you have a government or not. At the end of the day, the courts decide what they decide, regardless of the law. Many times opposing the law. In this case, the entry of Israel law, says outright that illegal migrants need to be sent back to their countries. And an internal letter by the the Attorney General's office was used by a lower court to overrule official Israeli Knesset law. So I don't really think it matters if there is a government or not on this issue. At the end of the day, the courts pretty much do whatever they want.
Yonatan Jacobovitz, the executive director of the Israeli Immigration Policy Center.